moment of stillness before we have this very short service. First, some verses from St. Matthew's Gospel. "And the Son of Man comes in his glory, and all the angels with him. He will sit on his glorious throne. All the nations will be gathered before him. He will separate the people one from another as a shepherd separates the sheep from the goats. He will put the sheep on his right and the goats on his left. And the king will say to those on his right, 'Come you who are blessed by my Father. Take your inheritance, the kingdom prepared for you since the creation of the world. For I was hungry and you gave me something to eat. I was thirsty and you gave me something to drink. I was a stranger and you invited me in. I needed clothes and you clothed me. I was sick and you looked after me. I was in prison and you came to visit me.' And the righteous will answer him, 'Lord, when did we see you hungry and feed you, or thirsty and give you something to drink? When did we see you a stranger and invite you in, or need you clothes and clothe you? When did we see you sick or in prison and go to visit you?' The king will reply, 'Truly I tell you, whatever you did for one of the least of these brothers and sisters of mine, you also did for me.'" Just a moment of stillness before we pray together. Almighty God, the fountain of all goodness, bless this council and all who are engaged in the work of local government, that they may order things in wisdom, righteousness and peace, for the good of all your people. Amen. Amen. God our Father, you guide everything in wisdom and love. Accept the prayers we offer for our borough. In your goodness, watch over those in authority, so that people everywhere may enjoy the freedom, peace and security which comes with living in this country, a democracy. Amen. Amen.
Please be seated. Well, good evening, everybody. So it could be quite a short meeting. So that's good. First item on your agenda. By the way, we're all working on the original agenda of the 4th of May. The supplementary agenda that we had on the 11th. That didn't have all the items on it. So item number 1 is declaration of interest. I'm sure the new members are aware they have to declare anything that occurs in personal or prepositional nature. Okay, do you need interest to declare? No? No interest to declare. Good. We'll go on to item number 2. Oh, sorry, I missed that one.
I'm not sure whether I'm doing it right. I've taken advice and interest in the NHS.
Okay. Did you get that, Councillor?
That's right.
Yes, we got that, thank you. Any more further declarations of interest? Go on to item 2. MERS communications. First one is, are there any apologies for absence? No? Good full house. Any other announcements? I think the only thing to remind members about is the fantastic exercise that's taking place on the 1st of June. I'm told that all members have been invited to attend the torch ceremony. So, if you'd like to reply as soon as you can to that email, we would like lots of members to be there for the torch once in a lifetime coming to Wirral. I've got other announcements. That brings us to item 3, which is petitions. Any people who have petitions? Okay. So we'll start off with the Councillor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's a petition from the residents of Quentin against the Tesco's licence to alcohol, sale of alcohol on Wirral Road, Quentin. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Slaughter.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's further petitions regarding council to provide men's and women's public laboratories and the baby changing facilities in the central park.
Okay.
1971.
Councillor McGovern.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. A petition from members of the Barnstone Women's Institute in my ward drawing attention to road safety issues outside their fences.
Are there any more petitions? We're going to item number 4, which is minutes for a meeting on the 16th of April. Which has been seconded. Are they agreed? All agreed? Okay. Okay. I'll just like that. Item number 5 is the results of the election on the 3rd of May. It's on page 41. In the supplementary. So they are for noting. Any comments or queries? Okay. We'll go on then to the next item, which is the Ministry for the Council. I understand that Councillor Green would like to make a statement on this before we take this item. Councillor Green.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And could I also congratulate all the new members of the council on their election and commiserate some excellent councillors who are no longer here. First thing I wanted to do, I did promise you, Mr. Mayor, that I would keep this very short indeed, is to congratulate Phil and the Labour Party for their election success. They polled something like 12,000 more votes than the Conservatives did in this election, and I congratulate them for that. Also to inform the Council that I've written to Mr Norman to inform him in the light of the Labour Party having a clear majority in Council in Wirral, I think it's appropriate for me to step down as leader of the Council. Mr Mayor, Wirral is a fantastic place, and I believe that, or continue to believe, that all parties need to work together to give the people of Wirral a council they can be truly proud of. Unfortunately, Mr Mayor, the underlying issues that the council has faced for some time remain. However, let me be clear. Myself and my group will support Councillor Davis as the new leader of the council, recognising, as we do, the will of the people of Wirral. And I trust, certainly by conversations we've already had, that he will tackle the issues that the council has and continue to tackle those in an open, honest, transparent and inclusive way. And in doing that, Mr Mayor, he will receive the full support of myself and my group. The other point I would make, if I may, having been the leader of the council twice, would be to make the point to Phil that I think it's something I've always argued, that there are councillors from all parties that have particular skills and expertise across the council. And I do hope that he will find the opportunity to make use of those skills and abilities across the council for the full benefit of the council and the people of Wirral. Mr Mayor, we have all agreed and we've all signed up to working together on the council improvement plan. And again, as I said, I pledge myself and my group support in developing that plan and working with the administration to deliver and to execute that plan. I would just make this one particular point to them. We've set a high watermark, and thank you for the conversations we've had. We are setting up a high benchmark for you in terms of what you have said and what you have promised, and in a way the expectations we are placing upon you. As I've said before, approaching it in the open, honest, transparent and inclusive way, you will find you get maximum support in everything that you try and do from myself and my group. I do hope you won't fall away from it, because again, things being as And as I say, I will thank the council for their support previously and reassure you that the council and the people of Wirral will continue to have my full support in making sure that we have a council that people can be really proud of. Thank you very much, Mr. Brown.
Thank you. That brings us on to the actual motion which you all have circulated to you on in the agenda before today. Council, does that statement make any difference to your motion, or do we just go as it is? Can you move the same motion? Okay. We still need to elect a leader. Okay. So, Councillor Phelps.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It is an extreme honour to be able to stand here and put forward the name of Councillor Phil Davis as leader of the council. I was asked to accept Jeff Green's resignation letter as a friendly amendment, was the suggestion made within our group. So I did that quite clearly. I also do pay tribute to Councillor Green, as he did to me when I stood down as leader. It is an invidious position to be in. It is difficult to wake up every morning of your life wondering what difficult decisions need to be made and how you're going to make them in the best interest of the majority of people for the borough. And I think Jeff, in his own inimitable style, tried to do that.
Well, I think that's the nicest thing
So,
to say.
I think we are, though, as an authority, we are at a crossroads. For the first time in a long time, we have clear and decisive leadership, not from anyone else other than the people of Wirral. The people of Wirral have spoken, and they have made it quite clear that they want a Labour administration by the number of votes. Just to go through it, if people aren't aware of the situation, Labour gained 7 seats, including Hensby and Thingwall, in the centre of what we would declare many years ago as Tory heartlands. We have representation across all the constituencies and have been unique in that position on the council for many years, having representation in all the constituencies, and we treasure that position very, very much as a party. So the Conservatives lost 5 seats, the Democrats lost 2. I'm mindful of Jeff's words, and I want to take on board that, if you like, that sense of a new beginning, a new challenge, a new change, because we are all going to have to change. I was hopeful that there may have been some changes in personnel on the Conservative side in terms of what their style of leadership may be. So they themselves will have to change, because it wasn't a pleasant year last year. Don't care anybody who was involved in politics. It wasn't a pleasant style of politics that we all went through and endured. And indeed, let's be honest, everybody chipped in, because that's the way it gets you when politics becomes, as I've quoted, poisonous politics. There's no place for that anymore on Wirral. The job is too big. The job is too difficult. We have to move forward. So, quite frankly, we are in celebratory mood on this side of the chamber, all sides of the chamber nearly now. And, you know, I always believe that politics should be an enjoyable pastime for people. It's not been very enjoyable for some of my candidates and our candidates this time round in terms of the personalisation. It wasn't certainly pleasant for me, the personalisation. And I hope one thing we can learn is that this style of politics, whatever way you engage in it or like it, doesn't work. The style of politics is going to be one of the biggest cultural changes that this council has to take on through the improvement board. So we all have to listen clearly about how we do that in our style of politics. And for this reason, negative politics, whatever the purpose behind it, you do it, if it was to gain votes in the run-up to an election, that's an aim within itself. But quite frankly, it doesn't work. It hasn't worked for those who are engaged in some real personal stuff. And every time, the effect seemed to be that we were constantly running down Wirral as an entity, running down Wirral as an organisation. And the only thing that led to was down, the turnout went down. Is anybody really saying in this chamber, we run ourselves or conduct ourselves in a way that puts people off voting? Because if that's what's in your head or in your heart or in your soul, then don't get involved in politics. fairly substantial style. So it doesn't work, and it has to stop. So I think it should stop. But I don't think people expect me to get up and make a speech without some sense of humour. And even though we've all been through difficult times, the authority, individuals in this authority, whoever they are, I don't think anybody enters this chamber with a sense of, oh, I'm going to be a failure, or I'm going to make things bad, or I'm here to do my job for people, whether it be opposite or elected member. But you wouldn't expect me to get up and not have a little sort of run around with some of the political sort of banter that I normally engage in. I can do it in good humour. I think that's important. Some of the debates in here have not been humorous at all. They've been sad and they've been horrible. So I started up thinking, and there's already, we've heard that the Liberal Democrats are beginning their comeback. They've already ordered their battle tandem for next year's election. We've also heard Cameron has made a policy statement. He says the next person who refuses the job of managing Liverpool will definitely lose their benefits. That's what he's come out and said. Jack rang up the Liberal Democrats headquarters and he asked, can I have a copy of your manifesto? The lady on the other end of the phone said, I'm sorry, he said, we've sold out. He says, I know you have, but can you send me a copy of your manifesto? Why did Nick Clegg cross the road? Because he promised he wouldn't. So these are some of the fun things we can do. And I've been accused in this council of not knowing the value of anything but the cost of anything. Well, I know the legacy of the job ahead. The legacy of cuts that the central government has imposed on us is £100 million over the next 3 years. Just put that in your head. I know the council tax rebate, as grand a gesture as it was, and we called it election bribe, you called it deflating the economy. It didn't work, and the cost of that is some £4 million. The rebate for those who've never paid council tax, or may have never paid council tax ever, is in the region of £500,000. But the look on certain Tory councillors' faces on election night was priceless. So can I just say, I say these words in a way of trying to lift a sense of foreboding and a sense of challenge for us. We are now going to be led by a councillor who has an exemplary record. We think of Phil's service on the council, children's service, and exemplary service on the council. He was our cabinet member for that for many years. And then regeneration, which is his forte. We've been very successful in regeneration and creating jobs and getting inward investment. His track record is unblemished. He has made the bold move in his life to come out of full-time employment to take this job on. He has made changes, even initially within our group, and he will announce tonight his clear team to take the council forward. He's made changes in our group. He sensed the enormity of the task and that has elected 2 deputy leaders within our group to make sure that the burden is shared and we have people specialising in important roles. I will finish now. I do, with a sense of pride, a sense of honour, and a sense of victory that at least the people of Wirral, the elected, can be trusted to make a decision. They have made a decision, and that's for a Labour administration to move forward and hopefully stabilise this council, improve it, and bring everyone together under one banner. And that banner is the best for Wirral. Thank you.
responsibilities talk about more political issues, but for this evening, my role is simply to say the best of luck, and we are certainly going to support you further in this endeavour.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Elliott. Any other members wishing to speak on this? Okay, well in that case, Councillor Kelly to second the motion.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I actually sat up most of last night doing an absolutely fantastic speech for the motion that was on the agenda tonight. Only to find that Jeff has now taken the wind out of his sails after he formally resigned, so a lot of the things I would have said on the original motion, I won't say now. But can I just say, Mr. Mayor, that first of all, I think it is fitting that Councillor Steve Fowler should be given the opportunity to put forward the endorsement as Bill Davis, the leader of the council. And I do want to pay tribute to the work that Steve Fowler did when he was leader of this council over many, many years. I think that should be placed on record. And I think, Mr. Mayor, I should also say a sincere thanks to Jeff as leader of the council. It's not easy for any councillor, it's not easy for any councillor at all in this chamber, but I think for anybody to take over the role of leader of Wirral Council, I think it's very, very difficult. And again, I'd like to place on record my thanks to Jeff for the work that he did when he was leader of this council. But having said that, the Wirral electorate on the 3rd of May did send out some very powerful messages. And I think one of the messages they did send out was that they want to put aside a lot of the negativity that's been associated with this council in the past. Because, for example, in my job, when I go around the country, in particular the North West, I'm sick and tired of people saying to me over the last few months, what's gone wrong in the Wirral? You've got this problem and that problem. And a lot of people have got the perception that Wirral is falling apart and that everything is going wrong. And I think we all need to recognise tonight that Wirral is still a fantastic place to live and work and visit. And I hope we all take that message out from tonight, that Wirral is a fantastic place. And I know Phil and others are already working hard to bring extra investment, extra jobs into the Wirral. And I hope we can all put political differences aside to make sure that that's what we do in the future. Now, we do have many challenges, there's no doubt about that. But I think we've all got to recognise we've got to work together to bring out the positive aspects of what Wirral is all about. And at the same time, Mr. Mayor, I hope we also now take this opportunity, because it must be said, I am concerned about the morale of many of the staff employed by the council. And I think we've all got to recognise that we've got some fantastic officers in this council, we've got some fantastic staff, many of whom go the extra mile, and many residents day after day say to me how grateful they are that a certain person has done something for them. So I think we must recognise that we have some fantastic officers, some fantastic staff, and I think we must do everything to try and improve the morale of everybody employed by the council. Moving on now to the question of the new leader, I am more than happy to second the resolution before us tonight, putting Phil Davis as leader of this council from now on. I've known Phil for a number of years, and I know him, and I'm sure you all know him, as a man of total honesty and integrity, and someone who's got lots of vision and fairness, and I think he'll bring that into his job as leader of this council. He'll be a positive force, fighting for the Wirral, to bring investment, to bring jobs, and to make sure that everybody is treated on a fair basis. Now, I'm privileged to second this motion, as I say, Mr. Mayor, and under his leadership, ably supported by people like Councillor George Davis and Councillor Anne McLachlan, I know that this council will go on from strength to strength. So there's one message I want to put forward in seconding this motion tonight, is that we've now got to be positive, we've got to send a positive image out, a positive message from the Wirral, and let's put aside all the negative stuff that we've had in the past. Let's move forward, and I'm confident that under Councillor Phil Davis' leadership, this council will go from strength to strength. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Davis, are you willing to accept this nomination?
Yes, I am. Thank you. Thank God for that.
Motion before you. All those in favour of the motion? Just make sure that is unanimous. Any abstentions or any... I think the former mayor very nearly voted against you there. Okay, well, you're not going to have much to write this year if all this is true and everybody's going to be so nice to each other. Okay. Now, the next item is the leader of the council is going to make some announcements. Over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and can I start by sincerely thanking Council for electing me as the new leader of the Council. It really is a privilege to hold this office, and I genuinely am going to work as hard as I can to make sure that we, as a borough, can be proud of being elected members representing our area and can continue and hopefully go on to improve and provide high quality services to our local residents. I'm really grateful to Jeff, Tom, Steve and Brian for their kind words. I'd like to say a particular thank you to Steve Fowles. I was, as you all know, his deputy for some 12 years. I have a different style of leadership than Steve. I don't know as many jokes like Mr. Mayor. And certainly the jokes I do know, I'm not brave enough to use in council speeches, so you will see a different style. But no, I am really sort of humbled by what I received tonight. At the end of March, I was deeply proud to have been elected as leader of my group, and I'm equally proud to have been elected tonight as the leader of this council. I'd just like to take this opportunity of joining with Brian and others in saying thank you to Jeff for his service over the past few months, and particularly I'd like to thank him for, as outgoing leader, for the orderly transition to a new administration. Thank you, Jeff. I'd like to now, Mr. Mayor, just say a few words about the new cabinet. In forming my administration, I believe it is in keeping with the clear mandate that my party was given by the people of Wirral on the 3rd of May to appoint Labour members to cabinet positions, and I've got a list which will be circulated during the course of the evening of the cabinet portfolios. I'd just like to make a couple of points though in introducing the new cabinet. I think the first thing to say, I don't think there's any more important job that we've got than to make sure that, as Jeff mentioned, we really do make progress on the improvement plan and on issues to do with corporate governance. And in recognition of that key task, I decided to create a new portfolio in the Cabinet called Improvements and Governance, which will be led by Councillor Andrew Blackland, who will become the Deputy Leader of the Council. I think the second thing to say is clearly public health will become the responsibility of the Council in the near future, and I again believe that is a key new responsibility that we have, and I'm appointing Councillor Anne McCardle to lead on this brief in addition to adult social care. Now, as members know, Brian alluded to it, I've appointed 2 deputy leaders of my group in recognition of the scale of the agenda that we've got. Anne McLachlan, I've mentioned, and Councillor George Davis. And I've asked George to continue to take the lead on housing and community safety, and I know in George we've got somebody with huge expertise in this policy area who I think will do an excellent job. I'm delighted, Mr. Mayor, to announce a new member of my cabinet team. Councillor Tony Smith is vastly experienced both professionally and in terms of serving on education and children's services. He's vastly experienced in that whole area of education and children's services, and I've asked Tony to take on the children's services and lifelong learning portfolio. And again, I know Tony will make an excellent contribution as a cabinet member. In my remaining appointments to cabinet, I've selected people with substantial experience in these posts. Very briefly, they are Adrian Jones, Corporate Resources, Brian Kenny, Environment, Chris Meaden, Culture, Leisure and Tourism. Pat Hackett will come in to do regeneration and planning strategy, again somebody who's done this job before and definitely knows the brief well. And last but by no means least, Harry Smith, Street Scene and Transport Services. As leader, I will continue to take the lead on finance and the budget as other leaders have in the past. Now, it's my intention to review and update the detailed responsibilities of each portfolio and also to reallocate the responsibilities currently within the community and customer engagement portfolio. Some of these responsibilities may be shared between all portfolios. I have to think that every cabinet member should be putting an emphasis as a key duty on community engagement and consultation. But I'll also be assigning responsibility for some of the other specific duties in that previous portfolio, like equalities, to particular cabinet members. And those details will be published within the next few weeks. In terms of other positions on the council, my group will chair the quasi-judicial committees. With regard to overview and scrutiny committees, however, I am offering the chairs of all 6 committees to the opposition groups. I'd like the Liberal Democrats to chair Economy and Regeneration, and the Conservatives to chair the 5 other scrutiny committees. Now, I think it's just worth reiterating that I do take very seriously, Mr Mayor, the importance of ensuring that the Cabinet is held accountable for its decisions, and it's therefore, I think, appropriate that the chairs of all the scrutiny committees should be of a different party to Cabinet members. Mr Mayor, I really do agree with Steve Fouts in his comments that we need to change the political culture of this authority. And Steve has described it, I've heard others describe it as poisonous. Many of the challenges facing this council are, in my view, too serious really to get caught up in party politics. And I understand that changing deeply embedded attitudes is going to take a long time. It's not a 5-minute job. However, in an attempt to make a start on this, I intend to establish a leaders board where the 3 party leaders and the deputies can meet together on a regular basis, I suggest monthly in the first instance, to share ideas and views regarding key issues relating to how this council is run. More generally, I do agree with Jeff that all 66 members of this council have a contribution to make, and we need to make sure that the skills and expertise that people have on this council is harnessed and is used to the benefit of the council, and I'll be looking for ways to do that in the coming weeks and months. Mr Mayor, I'd now just briefly like to outline some thoughts on key priorities for my new administration. Firstly, I hope the fact that the council will no longer be hung will mean that we can bring some much needed stability to the organisation after a fairly turbulent 12 months and actually even longer than that. But secondly, as I mentioned earlier, and as I think is really key, we do need to make rapid progress on the improvement agenda. It's my intention to continue to work through the improvement board, which was set up by my colleague Steve Fouts when he was leader, on which all parties are represented, as well as the Local Government Association and other external experts. Deputy Leader of the Council, Anne McLachlan, as I said earlier, will play a key role on this agenda. And I'm also keen to see progress on member training and development, and would like to take this opportunity of thanking Tom Harney for the work he has done in leading this area. I hope you've all seen the paper that was left on everybody's tables tonight on elected member development, because I do see this as being a really key area as part of the improvement plan. Please take an opportunity to read that paper. But I've been asked, and I'm delighted to agree to this, by the Improvement Board Member Development Working Party, which Tom leads on. I've been asked as a new leader of the Council to confirm our all-party commitment to implement and support the Skills for Wirral Councillors programme for members and senior officers, training in the key areas of corporate plan, critical service areas, financial stability, corporate governance and leadership. And these 5 improvement priorities, which have been agreed by all parties, will be achieved through working together as members and officers through action in, for example, information briefings, development of personal skills, development of core skills, specific role training, improvements in leadership and culture, mentoring and benchmarking visits. And the programme has been put together of training and development for all elected members, which you'll see take advantage of these development opportunities, because I think it is absolutely critical that we have good participation from members. So happy to support that programme as a new leader. I'm also, just moving on, Mr. Mayor, I'm also committed to continue with the All-Party Democracy Working Group with the aim of achieving consensus on improving our governance arrangements. We made quite a lot of progress in the last year, and I think we need to continue that momentum, so happy to support that. In terms of other priorities, I think it's essential that we give urgent attention, Jeff mentioned this, to our budget challenges. Steve also mentioned them as well. I will use every opportunity to lobby government to give Wirral a fair deal in terms of funding. However, the fact remains we have to find substantial savings over the next 3 years while continuing to deliver high-quality services. This will require us to think imaginatively and innovatively about the ways in which we deliver services. And I welcome ideas from any member of the Council, as well as any other quarters, actually, as to how we might achieve this. I see this as being one of our absolutely critical tasks. I believe the Council has an important role in creating and safeguarding jobs and reducing unemployment. Over the past few years, we've delivered some excellent regeneration projects, notably the work in Brighton, which I think is looking absolutely fantastic now, as well as initiatives which I know every member of the Council supported, like the Wirral Apprenticeship Programme, where we've created something like 300 apprenticeship places in the last couple of years. Over the next couple of years, I'll be working very, very hard with my Cabinet Member for Regeneration, Councillor Hackett, to address other key challenges. For example, I believe we need to improve the offer in Birkenhead Town Centre, and we need to develop opportunities for regeneration in other parts of the borough, such as the west of Wirral. But can I be very clear that change can be difficult, and therefore I am really keen to work with ward councillors throughout the borough and local residents to ensure that there will be widespread support for any development opportunities. I really am committed to that. I'd also just like to take this opportunity, if I may, Mr. Mayor, can I just thank all of those involved in contributing to the great news we heard last week about the securing the future of Vauxhall's. That was just a fantastic announcement and really was a shot in the arm for the local borough and the local economy. And I'd like to thank officers, members and everybody involved in the lobbying work which produced that fantastic result. So my great thanks to everybody involved. I'm also looking forward to accompanying the other two party leaders, Jeff and Tom, when we visit China later this week, where we will meet Chinese investors and representatives from Suzhou and Taichung, our sister cities, before attending the signing of the agreement between Peel and Sanwa for the International Trade Centre at Wirral Waters, which will generate some 3,000 jobs and £175 million worth of new investment for Wirral. We expect work on the trade centre to start in 2013. This deal, I'm really pleased to say, will represent the largest single Chinese investment into the UK, and will also be witnessed by senior representatives from both the British and Chinese governments. I think that this is an absolutely fantastic result, and I'm so pleased that we'll be there to witness the signing. And I look forward to those jobs being and that investment coming to Wirral very, very soon. On the issue of economic regeneration, it is one of my passions, but we do need to work through our in-house team, Invest Wirral, together with external agencies such as the Local Enterprise Partnership and local businesses, especially small and medium-sized enterprises, to maximise opportunities for creating jobs and reducing the number of people who are without work. And I particularly think we need to need to focus on young people who are not in education, employment or training, who needs. I think there's more work to be done on that, and I'd certainly be giving that a high priority. Moving on, Mr. Mayor, I believe that in keeping, I think that consistently with previous administrations of actually of all parties, we need to continue to have the very highest priority keeping our children and adults safe. Our children's services already has an excellent reputation from internal and external inspections such as Ofsted, and along with Jeff and Pat Glassman, I had the pleasure last Friday of attending the the initial feedback from the peer review, which recently took place of our adult safeguarding service. And whilst there was still lots of work to be done, I think all three of us were impressed with the progress that we've made in that area of adult safeguarding. And I think that was really tremendous. And I'd like to record my thanks to Greg Hopkinson, our new director, for the work he's done since he joined us. I think it's vital that performance on these key services, and actually all our key services, are monitored effectively, reported back to members, so we know we can keep on track of what's going well, what's not going so well. And to that end, I'm really keen, as part of the improvement work, to put in place a robust performance management framework, of which a key element has got to be performance appraisal staff holding people to account appropriately. Mr. Mayor, in a civilised society, I really don't believe that it's acceptable for there to be such a large gap in life expectancy between different parts of the borough. And again, one of my personal priorities as part of our new responsibilities for public health, I want to work with departments across the council and our partners to really bearing down on poverty and deprivation. We really need to start to reduce that gap. I think that is something that we do need to make some progress on urgently. So, Mr. Mayor, I hope it's just been helpful to outline the key priorities for the new administration. I'm intending to publish more detail about our priorities in a new corporate plan, which we intend to publish early in the new municipal year. So finally, I strongly believe, I agree with Jeff, I strongly believe that the values of openness, honesty, inclusiveness and transparency should underpin everything we do as elected members and everything we do as a council. I think that's absolutely crucial. But just picking, and we do need to own up when we get things wrong, I think that's important. But just picking up on the thing that Brian Kenny alluded to, I'm really determined that we don't give the impression that all our services are poor, because they are not. The vast majority of our staff do a superb job. And I believe it's important that we recognise that and we celebrate success. Our staff, I believe, are our key resource. And certainly over the next few weeks, the new leadership, the new cabinet, I'll be asking to get out and go meet with staff, explain our ideas for taking the organisation forward, and emphasise to them how much we value their contribution. I think that's a really important job for us in the new municipal year. So, Mr. Mayor, in closing, can I once again thank all members for electing me as the new leader of the council. I genuinely am extremely proud to be given this office. I promise to work as hard as I can to deliver the vision that I've set out. I'm proud, and always have been, to be a member of this council. I'm proud to be a resident of this great borough. I think it is a fantastic place to live, work, and invest in. And I'm confident that working together, we can achieve great things. Thank you. appointment of council committees, etc., which I'm hoping could be circulated. And again, in terms of the item 6, which is the acting chief exec, acting head of paid service, I'm happy to move the resolution that basically moves that in the continuing absence of the chief of exec due to illness, director of finance continuing his role as deputy chief exec and therefore acting chief exec and head of paid service during the absence of the chief executive. Secondly, the deputy director of finance takes on the role of acting chief finance officer, section 151 officer, for such time as the director of finance is performing the role of acting chief executive and head of paid service. And finally, the head of financial services take on the role of acting deputy chief finance officer, deputy section 151 officer, for such time as the director of finance is performing the role of acting chief executive and head of paid service. Yeah, it's going round, sorry.
It's not. I don't think it's going round to the man.
No, it's going round. It's going round. Sorry, it's going round.
I don't think we need to adjourn, Councillor, so we'll just wait for a few moments, shall we? Just wait now until everybody's got these copies. Sorry for this delay, just making sure everybody's got a look at it. Do you need any time to look through this?
I wouldn't mind a copy.
Does the member want to propose that we can have a few minutes or so? Carry on, can we? Okay.
There's a couple of technical errors on this.
You want to tell us what they are?
So one planning.
Can you put your microphone on? Couple of technical errors. George, Councillor Davies is going to
Just spotted one straight away, it's planning, and it's down here, it's 12 places, 552, and it should be 6, but maybe. It's a couple of technical.
Councillor Davies, you confirm that, do you? Councillor Phil Davies.
Can I ask a question? Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a bit of clarification from Phil, really. Item 2. The Deputy Director of Finance taking the role of acting Chief Finance Officer. Are we making the Deputy Director of Finance the Director of Finance, or not? It's not quite clear.
You know the answer to that, Councillor? Yes, the first listen.
That shouldn't be a problem, though.
The purpose of this item on the agenda is to deal with the statutory roles of section 151 officer chief finance officer. This is not making anybody an acting director of finance. It's purely to cover the statutory roles in the light of the simpler guidance that they should be separated.
Okay, now being a new boy, I need some more advice here. Can we take all of these together?
I hope we could.
Does that include the final one, which is a separate one to do with the final one to do with the director?
If that's what you just...
Yeah, that's the only one we need to agree.
Yeah.
The other stuff comes.
Yeah, that's just kind of information.
Yeah. So it's just that one there to agree.
Okay, so putting them all together as amended and as written, is it agreed that the council accepts them all?
Yes.
Yes, Councillor Clement.
I'm very sorry, but on page 106
changed already. Moves over.
I think that's probably going to be agreed then to make that amendment. Are there any selfish members who want to object to that? No, that's agreed. That amendment is agreed. So, if the Director of Law advises me correctly, we now just going to ask you, are you all in favour of these recommendations, these proposals? Could you vote all in favour? Anybody against or abstaining? That's it. No. Okay, well, I think that's the end of the